You want to be one of those cool kids that go inside and rollerblade? We all know one of those cool kids. It's usually the most popular kid in school. We decided to step into the rollerblades of one of those cool kids and try out the indoor skating rink. And we're gonna tell you if it's worth it, the difference between rollerblading and roller skating, and tell you how you can do it yourself as a beginner with a couple of tips and tricks so that you don't taste the pavement. That means not falling. Let's go. What is indoor roller skating in the first place? Well, it is an indoor rink that you skate on. It's kind of like an ice rink, but with a lot less ice. These indoor skating rinks used to be way more popular in the past. In the 1970s, indoor roller skating was associated with disco music and roller discos. But with the fall of disco, it is not as popular. Now, if you're looking for indoor roller skating, you're mostly gonna find classes, you're gonna find roller derby, and that public skating isn't as popular. Another place where you're gonna find roller skating is where we found it, which was at an arcade. Boo, 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 boo. You know, the ones that have mini golf, that have arcades, that have sometimes go-karting. The roller skating was only $10 per person, which was super cheap. We could stay as long as we wanted, and the $10 included the equipment and the skates and the helmet, which is didn't wear helmets. Psh, super cool, no elbow pads, no knee pads. And the cool part is we had an option between both rollerblades and roller skates. Speaking of which, what is the difference between rollerblading and roller skating? Because honestly, I kind of thought they were the same word for the same thing, but I learned wrong. This comparison is not coming from an expert, no matter how well you see my amazing skills and think, roller skating stud. So roller skates is closer to skateboarding. They have 4 wheels on each skate. I find it's way more stable on each foot, meaning if you're only going to skate on one foot at a time, which is what you should be doing, it's a lot more stable. But it's a lot harder to turn because the lean doesn't force it to turn as much as I thought it would. This is what you're gonna see people using for roller derby. Probably one of the most manliest sports that men don't play that often. Huge respects. What would be my roller derby name? Something like Soft Marshmallow. And then those speedy, fast rollerblades, also known as inline roller skating. So where the wheels are in a line, like a non-vampire blade. This is what you'll see mostly outside and at skate parks. It's way easier to turn. Once you get the hang of it, it's way easier to go fast, but you do need a little bit more balance when you're starting to learn. But when I got the hang of it, I felt way more comfortable on it. We actually got to play with both of them, which was great. We got to switch, but you got them no matter which one you were using, and you're getting into the rink. Here are some beginner tips and tricks for you to get onto that skating rink and nail it, so you don't look like as much of a beginner. 1, you need to put your toes out into a V shape. You are not gonna go anywhere if your skates are straight. You're gonna try to move, you're gonna stay in place, and you're gonna look like a Looney Tunes cartoon when they were running in the air. Then all you do is you bounce side to side, shifting your weight. That is gonna move you forward. The last step is just leaning forward. On a flat surface, this makes your center of gravity shift forward. Where if your center of gravity was too far forward, you would fall. Instead, because your base is at your feet, which have wheels, instead the wheels start to turn. V shape for no Wile E. Coyote, shift side to side like Ariana Grande, and lean forward, no, lean back. Lean back. I wonder how many people understood all those references. Use the sides of the rink in order to get an idea of it and to help you stop. This will work on both sets of rollerblades and roller skates. And you know what? You're not gonna fall as much as you think as long as you lean forward. It just takes a little bit of balance, and as long as you're leaning forward, you're not gonna fall. I take that back. You are probably gonna fall at least once. It sucks, it hurts, but it's not as bad as you think, especially if you lean forward. If you're really scared about falling, then all you need to do is squat low. That is the safest spot if you fall, because if you're low, you can only fall from that high. Regardless if you're gonna fall forwards or back, you just drop it to a squat. Man, these 2000 songs references. And lastly, to know how to stop. What you need to do is you drag your wheels on the ground behind you where you're making a T shape. You're not dragging your leg like it's numb. You are just dragging the wheels right behind you. This is a lot easier in the roller skates. With the roller blades, it kind of makes you end up spinning and it feels kind of weird. It's better to just do small circles or to just stop and let gravity slow you down. Or even better, just use the barricades, it's fine. That's what they're there for. Just don't go in it super hot. Now you have all the tools you need to be able to roller skate or rollerblade indoor. What expectations do you need to go into it? Because that's gonna make a huge difference. Is it a great date idea? Depends. It's gonna depend on your athleticism, the things you guys like, and if it's okay if you guys are willing to look kind of silly and dumb for just a little bit. Don't expect to go on and look super cute for the first 5 minutes. There were many struggling couples at the rink, and there were also a lot of couples struggling with the skates. Just know that you're gonna look like a fool, and it's gonna be hard at first if you don't have any skating experience. It's gonna take about 20 to 30 minutes to get used to it. Even us who had experience took a while to get it, even if we both did this about 5-10 years ago. Frickin' time? Where did you go? Where did that sucker go off to? And if you're not getting it at first, just ask. And they will help you if they're not busy, or ask someone who clearly looks like they know what they're doing. They're happy to help. People are generally good people. I helped some people by choice, and that's my inner coach coming out. And you can see the improvements very quickly. If you're willing to put the time and effort into understanding it, it's gonna be really, really fun. There's a great feeling of being able to glide through the air, to go very quickly. It didn't take as long as I thought, as I started looking like a newborn baby giraffe learning how to walk, and now I became competent. That's a great compliment. You don't need to go super fast. You can start having fun if you're willing to look like an idiot with just some simple leg and arm moves and simulate that disco man. After I was done looking like a baby horse, got to learn some very simple tricks. I even got to learn to skate backwards. Like on paper, I can say I can skate backwards, which is something I was never able to do growing up. I wasn't expecting what I was going to think about the indoor skating rink, but here are a couple of my final thoughts on what I thought, which really surprised me, which really gets me confused, but I'm starting to see a common theme. The indoor rollerblading was surprisingly fun for us. After a bit of time of getting the hang of it, I just wanted to keep gliding and speeding around. That sense of freedom was so much fun. And then just learning these very simple tricks, such as going backwards, which I was never able to do, or doing this step over trick. It was just adding the cherry on top of this disco flavored ice cream. Then you have just us being idiots, and we love it. Just playing around, trying these dance moves, holding on to each other, seeing how fast we can go. These simple hands and arm movements to simulate disco dancing, which I think we nailed. Disco will never die. And there's not a lot of people who hate music. This is a indoor roller skating that will always have music, and that always adds to almost any experience. So small tip and trick for you, add music to an experience and it'll make it better. As long as you manage your expectation, it can be fun if you don't have any experience, but there is gonna be a decent learning curve. If you want to avoid that learning curve as much as possible, just remember those beginner tips and tricks, and the learning curve is going to be not as steep, or just go with someone that has experience. They can teach you, or they can push you while you are learning, because it's easier to have a little bit of speed, and then they can also hold on to you, help you with balance as you learn. That makes the process just way more fun, and especially if you're a giant group that is struggling, then your guys aren't gonna feel as bad. All of this makes me confused again, because it was so simple, but it was so fun, as I talked about my hiking video, and that reasons why just hiking I don't like. But then I also did this biking to explore the city, and we enjoyed both those things so much. But I'm starting to see a common theme. Being able to go fast, that sense of freedom to be able to go and to choose our own path, but not just that, but not being on a time limit, at least not a huge time limit, which was the huge fault of go-karting. Seems like those are the things that we'll really like, and we're gonna continue looking into that. And it's obviously a huge bonus if you can do it outside. If for any godforsaken reason you want to rollerblade outside, I have links to rollerblades similar to what I used as a kid, as well as roller skates in the description down below, as well as links to Groupon and Airbnb to save you money on your next adventure, because those are the things that I use the most to find adventures. And that's our experience with indoor roller skating. What do you think? Are you gonna try it yourself? If you are, let me know down below and you can hit me up on social media and I will roll with you to the next adventure.